How you doing?
Can you just give us your thoughts on the trade and how you feel about Greg leaving, Tyson coming, and just how's that all going?
Yes, you know what? The biggest thing with the trade, I'm extremely excited for Greg. You know, that's a young guy who's like really earned it. You know, we talked about like really making every rep a statement. This is a young guy, like since he's been in the building, like you've really seen him mature in that aspect. You know, so to see him, you know, have an opportunity to like go somewhere else, really have like grassroots in a different organization and really be a leader there. Like I'm really excited for him and his family.
First impressions of Tyson? I mean, I know he got here very quickly and then was on the practice field, and how you think he'll fit in the room.
Sure. You know, Kevin talks about like being tough and competitive, you know, and that's a young guy who is arrow up in all of those categories. You know, we talk about like who we play, what they play, what we play, best personnel in our 2 deep reference to injuries. This is the AFC North. So we got to have guys that play physically violent. We got to have guys that give great effort and guys that play with swag and passion. So looking forward to him like really being in our culture and really being arrow up in everything else.
So how much was, maybe a schematic not a fit? You know, Jim talked a little bit about, how Jacksonville had changed schemes this year with the new head coach. How much did maybe coming here going to help kind of fit what Tyson does best?
Sure, you know, and like speaking to different schemes, you know, I'm not so sure like where he might not have been a fit there, but like what we do, as far as like playing press man, like we really like guys that have like 32-inch arms, right? Like guys that want to be in the run fit. You know, we talk about like throwing that willing word out. We want guys that want contact, seek contact, like guys that want to go get back off blocks and make the plays. And he's one of those guys. And being in this division where we got to stop the run first, like really excited to see like what he's going to do for our defense. And again, physically violent player, right? So, you know, him fitting into our team culture, just being tough, being competitive, like really being physically violent out there with effort and swag. Like, I'm glad that the young man's here.
So from your perspective, like I don't even know if you were sleeping, like when the trade went down. Like, how does that happen? Like, how do you find out what's your next steps? Are you watching film of this prior film to try to get him up to speed and see his strengths? Like, how does as a position coach, how do you go about like really like integrating somebody into the scheme?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna give you a quote that was given to myself when we transitioned from a player. It said, "When the student fails, the teacher gets the F. Find a way for all students to earn an A." So for this young guy to come in, we got to do a really good job simplifying the complex. And really simplistically put, like we want him to perform the standard. And our standard is do what we're supposed to do when we're supposed to do it every time. What is he supposed to be doing? I want that young guy to go out there, physically be violent. I want him to give like great effort and play with swag and passion. So really like simplifying that, like what's important to us, I think it's going to really help his learning curve.
How much of like a prior experience did you have? Like in the draft, did you like scout him maybe or like watch film on him? Like how much did you know beforehand?
Sure. You know, he's played a lot of snaps, right? And he's seen a lot of ball. Like we talk about that shared situational awareness. That's a really real thing, you know. So him being able to like have prior knowledge with motions and splits, like prior knowledge of situations that are going to be important. You know, when are runs coming? When are play action passes coming? When's drop back pass coming? Right? Like with him having a wealth of knowledge like that, like it really helps that learning curve. And then what we do, right? Like we pride ourselves with Jim really simplifying it. Like Jim wants us to be the tip of the spear, right? He wants us to really get tight, stay tight, so our defensive line can really operate, and then our nerve center, we can go in and back those guys up.
So can you expect him to come in Sunday and play all games for you? Jim decided like that was a goal.
Yeah.
Watching him out there yesterday, confident that he can do that?
Sure. You know, it's always the goal as a teacher to get your students up to speed as fast as they can. And in my opinion, he's a culture guy, right? So simplistically put, that young guy is going to go out there and do the things that are required to be great in this league, especially in the AFC North. All he has to go out there and do to operate is be at his best when his best is required, with his violence, his effort, and really do a really good job with his passion.
So yesterday, like on the practice field, for example, are you spending most of your time with him just getting him comfortable, terminology, all that kind of things? Did you stay late with him yesterday?
Sure, that's a great question. And I say that he's a come early, stay late guy. So he's a young guy. We stayed like after practice. He's a young guy that after he got lunch, he immediately came up so that he can digest our terminology, right? Like the techniques, a lot of the techniques are going to be a lot of the same. There's some details and things that we put of more importance, but really like him nailing down like what is our terms so that he can play fast, he can play free, and then we can end up seeing what he does out there. And the other guys that's in the room, they really help that, right? Like, so having a culture that's really inclusive of guys that are coming in, like great players want to be around great players, right? So like that learning curve, like sitting with Denzel, like him being able to ask Miles certain questions. He's familiar with Ray and, Grant. So them being able to have like nerd talk and really like nail down like what those terms are, it's going to help.
I'm sure terminology is one of those things, but are there other like key indicators for guys that are coming in on such a short notice to know that you have the confidence that they'll be ready? Are there things that you can pick out from practice, pick out in the meeting rooms to know that, okay, we'll be good here if he's out there?
Yes. I think that as a teacher, one, like you have to know your personnel, and you have to have knowledge of personnel around the league. So like having an opportunity to like meet with him a few years ago at the combine, there are some very tell signs as a student. Like with him, he's a visual learner. He really loves to get reps on task. He picks it up extremely well, especially when he chunks his notes. So like really just like organizing that information for him, you can see the light bulb go off. And I think that for, us as teachers, the most exciting thing is the young guy is excited to learn. Right? Like he's a guy that like really wants the information. And as a teacher, you can see that he can handle more information. Like he wants the 201, the 301. He wants to know the why behind it, right? So being able to like clearly articulate it is going to end up like helping him move faster.
Aaron Rodgers, just what kind of pressure does he put on your position group specifically because of, the years he has? I mean, just everything about what makes Aaron Rodgers great. What's he going to do pressure-wise?
Hall of Fame player, right? Like you cannot ever discount, reps on task. He has a million of them. So the fact that he's really good with his hard count, he's really good at seeing, the full picture of the field, right? Like you're not going to disguise him. You're going to have to out-execute him. You're going to have to out-hit that team. You're going to have to tackle in space. We're going to have to get off blocks. We're going to have to communicate, and we're going to have to execute. But more importantly, we're going to have to do what's important to us.
Jim mentioned that like if Tyson isn't able to take like a full workload, Dom Jones is a guy that could step into that. He seems like he's another fit that profile physically that you guys are looking for with the long arms and the big size. What have you seen from him?
From Dom, tough and competitive, right? Like that's something that I thought that AB and Kevin did a really good job on, and very like laser focused job on bringing guys in that were going to be tough, competitive, students that want to play hard and play smart. So when you think about Dom, like, he's a guy thankfully he's been here since rookie camp, right? But he's arrowed up every single day. We talk about like really making things a statement, right? Like, and taking advantage of our opportunities. He's a young guy that has taken advantage of every opportunity as a student, as a mentee, right? Being able to, talk to guys like Greg, MJ, Ward out there, and I think for him specifically, the confidence piece, right? For him to be around other great players, and other great players really like notion that they love the way that he plays, his play style, his effort, physicality. He's a trusted teammate because he's arrow up and communicating. All of those things give us confidence to put him out there to operate.
Talk about being hurt by the trade, by the Greg trade, and, shedding tears. So what was that room like yesterday, and did you have to kind of talk to those guys and get their heads right moving to a big game on Sunday?
Sure. That is a fantastic question, right? And perspective, okay? And the perspective is, selfishly, yeah, we always want to be around our loved ones, right? Like that, like they love them. We all love them. Our building loves them, right? But the other thing, how excited we are for him to move forward and help another room, like for him to like really grow and put other things on tape. And then we're really excited to bring Tyson in. You know, I think that, you know, when Tyson got in the building, and you can immediately see, like, competitors want to be around competitors. So the fact that, you know, him and Denzel immediately are starting to talk, you know, they're immediately immersed in the details. Like I said, like, he's a student. So for him to go up to Denzel and ask, like, you know, what are you reading? What's your alignments? You know, when can we talk about split indicators? You know, that really helped, not necessarily soften that, right? But that really helped, like, the blow of the room of, we're bringing in another culture guy who can help us win.
So have you been able to keep your food down since that, since that final game-winning touchdown drive by the Vikings?
You know, Miss Mary, I try not to, like, move with the pendulum, right? Like, try to stay, like, very still in the middle. You know, we want to be at our best when the best is required. And to do that, like, we all have to move forward. So, you know, has it been tough? Absolutely. You know, but at the same time, you know, you need certain things like that in your career so that you can be complete and lacking nothing. So, like, I'm really, like, thankful for the benefits of that, right? Like, from the benefits of myself as a teacher, as far as, like, operating fast, being able to make, like, sound, fast adjustments, and also for the students, for all of us to go through that situation together and understand that we got to be resilient together, just like Coach Kevin says.